I went to Christ's Hospital in 1955 at the age of 11, rather young to leave home, and I won't pretend that in the first year I didn't have some moments of sadness, of homesickness, some moments when I was bullied, not by the senior boys, because they had better things to do, but by the people of my own age. There were 5 people of my own age in Coleridge A, which is the house we lived in. 2 of them had come from the prep school where they had started at the age of 8, so they were already experts in the game of survival. The bullying was not so much physical as mental, more like teasing I suppose, but upsetting for all that. And it always tended to be 4 against 1. Now I have to admit that when I was part of the 4 rather than the 1, I was as bad as anybody. But there you go. Margaret used to say that Christ's Hospital had made me hard because you learned to survive. You learned not to show any sign of weakness, and letting out emotions or letting anybody see what your private thoughts might be was a sign of weakness, a chink in the armour that would be exploited. But putting aside the trauma of being wrenched from home at an early age and the unhappiness caused by my peers, then I have to say there were a lot of advantages for being at boarding school. School was not something you did from 9 to 5 days a week. School was something you did all day, every day, and it was your life. And of course that meant that you had plenty of time to take advantage of all of the opportunities there were in the school. I devoted a lot of my spare time to music. I joined the chapel choir as a treble, and later became a bass when my voice broke. I learnt to play the oboe in the band, and was in demand to play in the orchestra and small groups as well. And I also sang in what we called the big school choir, where we did large-scale performances. In this photo of the band, a formal photograph in front of a big school, we zoom in on me, and then on Martin, and then we zoom out again. As well as music, I spent quite a lot of time in Mr. Kirby's lab, a favourite place for those who wanted to pursue scientific hobbies, like catching sticklebacks and newts and putting them in an aquarium. It was here that I also gained my enthusiasm for electronics, which was to serve me later in life, and I made my first crystal set in Kirby's lab. Some of the other pursuits were not optional. I had to play rugger, and because I had to do it, I decided eventually that I'd better do it well, and I got my house colours. We also had to join the CCF, the Combined Cadet Force, and I joined the Signals and really enjoyed it. Here is a Collet house photo from 1958, which makes me 14. Kit Aitken is next to the matron and flanked by a couple of junior housemasters. Behind them are Brown and Iredale, 2 boys from my year. These are the 2 that had been in the prep and had been my chief tormentors in my first year. We move across to Paul and Wade, and here am I next to Peter Hitchcock. So that's all the people of my age. Down at the bottom we find my brother Martin. This must have been his 2nd year, I guess. I could name all of the people in this photo, but I won't bore you now. This is what Collet looked like, marching into dining hall in full force. And this is what they looked like in 1957, when we had an epidemic, when almost everybody was on the sick list. Here are a couple of snaps of Martin and me taken at some time or other. Now we have a small selection of photos of various goings-on. I don't know where they came from, but this is clearly Martin's bed with his house number 31, and I recognise at least a couple of the boys, Searle and Teddy Carr in the front. And here are some more boys up to no good, This was probably on the whole-day holiday, when all the boys were let loose in the countryside. Here's Dave Pearl taking off one of the masters, Val Matthews. Some shots of Pirates of Penzance. Paul Wade was the pirate captain, and I was one of his crew. And here I am with Peter Hitchcock, just getting ready for a house play. Peter's adjusting his oranges. There were various regular events at Christ's Hospital. The Lord Mayor of London used to come down regularly. I think that was on Speech Day. On that day we also had some visitors from the girls' school in Hertford. I suspect that this Morris dancing was also a special display for Speech Day. Once a year we used to go up to London to visit the Lord Mayor, and that was on St Matthew's Day. The band and all the senior boys used to march through London. Here's a picture of me in the band, and also Martin. The Lord Mayor presented all the boys with the traditional shilling. That's 5p in new money, though I guess it was worth quite a lot more when he originally started. Grecians used to get, I think it was 5 shillings. Anyway, here I am with the Lord Mayor, and I was obviously so handsome that the London Illustrated News chose this picture to publish. Here are a few photographs of me as a top tabler playing a board game, and then generally messing around. Colin Pinch, Paul Wade, me, and Grubby Brown making some sort of funny gesture. And here I am as a Grecian, taking part in mock worship of a pineapple that we borrowed from a park bench on Big Side. I just mentioned that I was a Grecian, which meant that I was expected to win a place at either Oxford or Cambridge. It was a significant honour in the school, and was marked by a different coat, with a velvet collar and cuffs, and lots of large shiny buttons down the front. Christ's Hospital has its own railway station, on the main line to Brighton. There used to be a branch line to Guildford, and the Guildford Slacker used to go down that. The main line to Brighton still runs through the station, but Dr. Beeching closed down the line to Guildford during the 1960s, and now it's totally overgrown. If you look round the school nowadays, you will find a number of minor differences. Looking at the school from Big Side, you can see where the music school used to be. It's now a magnificent arts centre. Dining hall still looks the same, and the Verio picture is still there, but you find they've moved the tables round. And if you go out the back, the difference in the kitchens is amazing. Self-service counters, heavens knows what. The chapel is still the chapel. The quad is still the quad. And Christ's Hospital is still magnificent.